for the villain, and he probably go to jail, but if not, they usually kill him. Yeah, I wanted nice things, so you knew why I was dealing, but if not, I really never gave a fuck how you was feeling. Got off of the block, then I moved into the building, had the guns under the couch, had the loot up in the ceiling. Now I'm coming through there in the Cooper, the Brazilian, they was on the scoop.
This was one I really wasn't planning on reviewing, but I got enough requests from my subscribers, and you know, man, I love you guys, so you know, you want me to do something, I will. And if you ever want me to review a scent, you know, and if enough of you ask me, I probably will. So we're reviewing this one today, and this is my first time reviewing a Versace scent. I have a very rich history with this house, mainly with the fashion aspect of it. You know, I was a senior in high school from 1996 to 1997, and I went to high school on the Upper East Side of Manhattan, where I was born and raised, and at the time Biggie and Nas were the king. A little before Jay-Z really stamped his place, but I listened to Jay and his Reasonable Doubt album quite a bit, and both Big and Jay really pushed Versace hard. I had some Versace items that I either had to beg my mother to get me, or I had to save up for forever. You know, I'm talking about the silk pattern button downs with the Medusa head logos, and the Versace sunglasses with the gold Greek key pattern, and the t-shirts all really resonated with me. It really was, with the exception of Gucci, really the first Italian luxury brand that rappers started pushing, not including Fila and Sergio Tacchini, because they really weren't luxury brands. As far as the fragrance end went, I wasn't a huge fan of what they had out around that era. You know, it was sort of their jean scents, blue jeans, black jeans, metal jeans. They came in the tin canisters, and they had a fragrance called Bloom and Womo. Dreamer came out in 1996, but I didn't know about it, and I owned blue jeans in college, but wasn't a huge fan of it. I did purchase it again recently for the nostalgic factor. And as far as what I own from Versace as this video, I do have Eau Fraiche, I have Man, obviously, I have the Dreamer, I have Pour Homme, and I have blue jeans. And what I plan on getting is Oud Noir. I do want to get that one, and I do want to add Eros to my collection. And once I have those, I think I'll be done with my Versace fragrance collection. I think I mentioned I have Pour Homme, right? Because I do have that one. I like that one a lot. Recently, since collecting and reviewing, I've been a little disappointed with their scents. You know, there hasn't been much innovation. You know, Pour Homme is good, but you know, it's just decent to me. I think that Eau Fraiche is mediocre, although I do own it. I haven't been able to try Oud Noir yet, but as I said, I definitely want it. One that I do really like from them, though, is the Dreamer. I have to admit that. That's a gorgeous, to me it smells like wet tobacco leaf, that can be had for around $30 for 100 ml. And then, as I said, there's Eros, which I do like. You know, it is sort of Versace's take on a club scent, but I do dig it. So enter Versace Man. And for me, this scent really came out of nowhere. I can't recall seeing a review from anyone I'm subscribed to, but I think Mark did review this. It gets a ton of love on sites like Fragrantica and Base Notes. Lots of people are calling it the best of the Versace fragrances. Others claim it's discontinued. And when looking for it online, I didn't see a lot of retailers that had this fragrance. So when I saw it on eBay, I think it was, for like $45 or $50 for 100 ml, as a buy now, I decided to pull the trigger and blind buy it. So before we talk about Versace Man, let's talk about the house. One of the most inspirational fashion houses of all time that sure enough has endured a fair share of adversity. Versace was started in 1978 in Milan, and it was started as a women's wear line by the designer Gianni Versace. When the first store finally opened in 1979, it was a full-service boutique that sold men's and women's clothing, and that famous Medusa head with the Greek key pattern around it became the company's logo. Now, since then, streetwear brand Crooks and Castles pretty much stole that logo and put their spin on it for streetwear purposes. I am a big fan of Versace. I still have pieces of their collection. I also have Crooks and Castles pieces because I love that logo, and I'm a big fan of Crooks and Castles prices. But it didn't take long for Versace to really take off big time with celebrities. Elton John loved the clothing. He was one of the first to be photographed wearing it. And with that, Versace really blew up, started to create homeware, cosmetics, couture lines. The first fragrance was released in 1981, and it was just called Gianni Versace for women. And that was created in conjunction with a perfume company called Euroitalia. The first men's fragrance was released in 1986, and it was called Versace L'Homme. And it's sort of your typical big 80 scent with a jumble of brawny and powerful notes. Now, I'm sure many of you guys know, unfortunately, in 1997, Gianni Versace was murdered outside of his house in Miami, and the murder really was a mystery as the killer, Andrew Cunanan, took his own life 8 days later. That incident obviously sent shockwaves through the Versace house and the entire fashion world in general. His family went over to take over the brand as his sister Donatella became the creative director. His brother became the president and CEO, and his niece is also an owner of the company. There are currently about 47 fragrances in the Versace catalog, and it's another house where the perfumers look like a who's who in the industry: Alberto Morales, Francis Kurkdjian, Olivier Cresp, etc. Man was released in 2003 by Parfumé d'Amital Miquelon. He has done scents for Dior, Hugo Boss, Lacoste, and some other houses, but not too many really well-known scents. And the notes on this are neroli, bergamot, and angelica at the top, saffron and cardamom in the middle, and at the base we have amber, labdanum, casimir, and tobacco in the base. As far as your presentation on this goes, the box on this is just stunning in my opinion. It's Versace Man with snakeskin, and you see that just beautiful rainbow effect. That's just, to me, so cool. I really think it's a beautiful box. Eau de toilette, you know, the box is a box, but with that beautiful snakeskin pattern, or crocodile pattern, I believe, and then just that beautiful rainbow effect. The bottle, I have the Eau Fraiche bottle here actually. The bottle, you know, the Eau Fraiche bottle and this bottle are basically the same, except this one says Eau Fraiche and this one just says Versace Man. So imagine the Eau Fraiche bottle, if you've seen it, just a lot darker blue, and it has a gold little plating there, and the atomizer is gold as well. It's a decent sprayer, nothing too fancy, and you have a sticker on the back that says Versace Man Eau de Toilette. So basic presentation, but one that I really like. The box really does it for me, and I think the bottle's pretty cool too, personally. As far as you know, how to get your hands on this fragrance, after I got it, guys, I have seen it at discounters a little bit. Like I saw it at TJ Maxx 2 or 3 times for $60 for 100 ml, which I think is a good price. But it's kind of hard to find this one, so I'll let you guys know whether or not I think it's worth you guys seeking it out. So because tobacco was a note in this fragrance, that really made me want this, because I really like the Dreamer. I think it's one of the best cheapies out there. So any Versace fragrance with tobacco as a note is going to get a serious look from me. And I'll be honest with you guys, at first whiff, this was a big letdown to me. I think I was expecting something like Tobacco Vanille or Spice Bomb. I don't know why, but I was expecting that, and this isn't that. There's no sweetness to this, and virtually no vanilla. The first note that I get out of this fragrance, the one that really comes out swinging to me, is Angelica. And when I was at the Min Scent Stories exhibit in the back of their store, they let me smell pure Angelica Absolute. So it's really easy for me to detect Angelica in fragrances nowadays. So I get a lot of Angelica in this, a little bit of spice from the saffron and cardamom, and then these underlining notes of like cigar tobacco, not pipe tobacco, and it combines to form a really mature scent that, to me, almost smells like something a niche house would have made more than a designer house. I have a fragrance that I reviewed from Jovoy called Les Jeux sont faits, which means the game is up. It's meant to smell like a French underground gambling den, and it's got tobacco in it as well, and Angelica, and this definitely reminds me a little bit of that. And that, I think I paid $180 for that fragrance, so you know, that's a good thing that this reminds me of that. This, like the Dreamer, is a very different designer scent. Versace seems to do a really good job at making different fragrances. As this evolves on my skin, I do get a bit of that labdanum showing up, blending with the tobacco leaf to make for something that smells very mature and something that's really good for like a business environment. But I do have to say that for me, performance is only moderate on this scent. You know, longevity and projection are both just average. Perhaps a little disappointing, but certainly that shouldn't keep you from purchasing this fragrance. I think this is a man's man scent, if you know what I mean. But I could see it be worn by a female. You know, I love that sort of gin boozy vibe that Angelica gives me. I think it's a very sexy note that can be worn by either sex. But I do think this is real cold weather juice that might be okay in the spring, but probably not the summer. Occasion-wise, for me, this is sort of a jack-of-all-trades scent. I think it's great for work. I think it's great to go out on dates with. I think it's great just casually, and I could definitely see this one being someone's signature scent. I think this probably should have been the scent that Versace kept out of this and Eau Fraiche. I hate Eau Fraiche, just to be honest with you guys. And I have no comprehension of how they got from this to Eau Fraiche. And you know, the only reason I don't like Eau Fraiche is just because it smells like so many other things to me. You know, there's nothing to me unique about Eau Fraiche. But the way the rating I'm going to give this is a 7 out of 10. It's a very unique smell and one that should hold a place in any real designer collection. Unfortunately, as we all know, it's not that easy to get your hands on this one. And for me, the performance just isn't good enough to justify the scavenger hunt for this fragrance. But I do think that if you stumble upon it online or at a discounter, I'd pick this up. It's very different from many other designer scents out there, and it's pretty unique in general. Now, you guys know something I do in all my reviews now is if you can't get this, what other fragrances might you substitute? Well, as I said before, Les Jeux Sont Faits is really the only one that I could think of. If you want a good Versace tobacco scent, then you, of course, could get the Dreamer. Very different from this, but they both sort of achieve the same thing. What would someone who's trying to get you to buy this fragrance say? Well, they'd say it's a classic in the Versace collection. It probably will be a more sought after scent as time goes on, and it might become a collector's piece. And it's very unique, and it's a different designer scent. I think that's what someone who would be trying to get you to buy this would say. And if someone was trying to dissuade you, they would probably just tell you it's not worth the effort to find this. The performance isn't good enough. You can probably have just the Dreamer and have a great Versace tobacco scent. So why go out of your way to have this one? And it's not going to be as people-pleasing as Eau Fraiche at all. So I think that's probably the argument that would be made. But I really enjoy it. I'm glad it's in my collection, and I hope I answered some of your questions that some of you guys have had about Versace Man. If you have any additional questions, you know what it is. Please feel free to leave a comment or email me at maxmno@gmail.com. I'll see you guys again real soon. I want to thank you all so much
Got
for
these
watching.
niggas sick, better shoot them with penicillin. Whoever try to flip, get a clip and bend it, drill him. Shotty take him out of here, 9 to center feel him. Scarface syndrome, a nigga is never healing. Nigga forever dealing. Beretta on my lap and any whip that I'm wheeling.